if there's one thing I know that's really going to help grow and scale your pickleball business over the next 12 months and beyond, it's this, it's doing video. But I understand that people get caught up in the mindset side, the fear, and also thoughts like, what do I talk about? Are people going to care? So in this video, I'm going to go over strategy. I'm going to go over 10 different areas that have actually helped me to make money over the years using video. And trust me, everyone has that stage where they're worried about it, they're overthinking. So we'll talk about that during the course of these 10 tips. Why do we want to use video? Because when people see us, when people get a sense of our energy, there's this thing called resonance. Yes, it's about what we say, the value that we provide, but everybody's different. So maybe you're watching this as a pickleball coach and you're saying, well, yeah, everyone else out there, is doing it. Yes, but you're different. You have a different vibe to you. You may see other people giving tips and you may be thinking, well, they're giving those tips, so what's the point in me giving them? But it's about your energy. I have a certain energy, you have a certain energy, and so that is the difference. The difference is you. And in previous videos, I've said that the niche is you, right? And so just by being yourself and showing that kind of quirky side of you, you sharing your opinions, all of that really, really matters. So let's dive into these top tips to help you be better on video this upcoming year, or just get started. The first one is about honesty. Okay. And what I mean by this is don't be afraid to share where you are on your journey. So if you are a brand new pickleball coach that just certified, that's okay. Be honest with that, because everybody's at a point in their journey. Okay. So sometimes we think that we need to hold things back or hide things, when actually transparency, being honest, being vulnerable, sharing the things that you failed in, sharing the breakthroughs that you've had, just the transparency and being honest goes a long way with people. Okay. So in my earlier videos, I'll just share now as an example. Okay. This channel has been going for about a year and I don't have thousands of subscribers. In fact, at the time of this video going live, I think I have about 245. And what I can say is that, it's a small channel for me, but what I've noticed in the consistency that I've had with this channel in particular is that more and more I've had people reaching out to me, namely on places like Instagram and also Facebook, saying, I've been watching your videos, right? And some of those have actually joined into my mastermind. Others have just complimented. And I'm just being honest in saying that, it's not necessarily the fastest growth I've had over the years in different things that I've done, but I started it a year ago and I've been consistent and things are starting to compound for me, right? So I think that the comparison that we have with people that, let's say, have got, on YouTube in the space of pickleball, hundreds of thousands of subscribers or even in the top thousands, what that can do, and I'm using YouTube as an example, is that can actually put you off because you might think, well, it's not worth it. But all it takes through the consistency is one video starting to pop off and that starts a chain reaction. But also it's not about the numbers. It's not about the number of views. It's about whether that video lands with the right person. So the video might have 100 views, but if it lands with the right person, what you've got to think about is 100 people in a room, not 100 people, and that's not relevant. Okay. So I want you to focus and start to get excited by having a small channel and just starting to be yourself, right? And allowing the consistency to build upon itself. The number two, which is not holding back. And a lot of people struggle with this because there's this line, right, between sales and also value, where people think, well, if I don't give my best stuff away, if I do give my best stuff away, then people won't hire me. Or I'm going to take away from sales. You don't want to think like that. You want to have the mindset of just giving and giving and giving. And then what happens is, what generally happens is, when trust reaches a certain level, then that's when people start to reach out, right? So for example, you'll notice when you start getting messages from people will say, oh, I've watched, 5 or 10 videos. I always communicate with the people who message me and I have conversations and I find out, is it just one video that you watched to reach out? No. What happens is people come and they watch a video and then they watch more videos, and then this trust ladder goes up, and then people start to have you front of mind as being the person that can help them potentially with another challenge that they have moving forward. Also, I'll just say for pickleball coaching and also for clubs, the regional aspect of doing video is really important. So for example, pickleball coaching in a certain area, right? That is an untapped market. What you may see right now in the pickleball space is a lot of people doing like videos, but if you are regional in an area and you're not looking to say, just make revenue from YouTube, then there's going to be a real benefit to you doing regional content if you're a pickleball coach. I'll just say that. So the second point I want to make here is just not holding back, just having an idea essentially, and then you following through with it and allowing things to not be perfect is a great example. You'll notice with my videos, they're not heavily edited at all. I just like to talk, right? I like to just sit, talk, and provide as much value as I can. And hopefully people can take away things and actually go and use those in their business. The next one is the 25% energy rule. Now, when I used to do basically video on camera confidence days. And so people would come to my home in California, in San Diego, and we would spend a day basically doing video exercises, scripting videos, me giving instant feedback so that they went away a different standard in terms of their video content, in terms of being a presenter, because I used to do TV presenting and other things. And so one of the tips that I give all of my students who come to me for a VIP day is this 25% energy rule, which basically means when you talk to the camera, it kind of filters the energy a bit. So you need to bring more energy. Now, that's going to be natural for some of you who are high energy. But for those of you who are more shy, it's important to be more conscious about the energy that you're bringing, right? So if you're starting a video, coming in with more energy and just going slightly over the top, almost like you're talking to kids, right? So that energy that you have when you're with kids is a good example, right? So when you bring more energy, because if you bring normal energy and you're already low energy, the camera's going to filter through that, and that's going to be kind of bland on camera. The next one, which is huge, which is how do I add value? Now, one of the things that I do as a strategy is I have this little post-it note. You can't see it, but on here it was kind of flapping earlier and falling away. So I had to kind of put it in a bit firmer. But what I do is at home, I don't script any of my videos, but at home I sit down on my sofa and I grab a post-it note and I put 1 to 10 or maybe my tips at 8, and I just bullet off things that have worked for me. So for example, the 25% rule, that's something that I have done with my clients that works consistently, and so then I bring it in as content. So talking about a benefit, okay, is great. But what you want to talk about, if you're talking about a benefit, is talk about how it changed. Now, I'll give you an example in pickleball. If you have been dinking and missing your shots and then suddenly it starts working for you, there's a transformation there. There's the island of when it didn't work and then the island of when it worked and then what happened. So the way that you add value is you talk about that transformation point, right? You talk about where you were before. And this is actually just like video testimonials, essentially. Where you were before, what shifted, like what was the pivot and the thing that you did differently to get the consistent dinks, and then how did it transform? Now, in the example of, say, doing video, I could say, okay, I used to be really shy. I didn't want to get in front of camera. And then I went to an event and someone told me about the strategy of just talking about what was working for me. And then suddenly I got a shift, right? So essentially you just need to start writing down, make a list and put in 3 columns. Where you were before, what shifted, and where are you now? So if you're watching this as a pickleball player, you have already gone through transformations from when you started and the things that have shifted. And if you're playing consistently and you're also potentially getting coaching yourself, then things are changing over time. Maybe you found a quirky shot. Maybe you found a way to relax yourself prior to going on the court, and you meditate. On my channel, I give away meditation. So one of the things I teach is about how powerful meditation can be to ground yourself. And so I could tell you and I could say to you, okay, go meditate. But what would be better? A better way to add value would be to give you a meditation, which is actually, I have a couple of those on the channel. right? So that's a way to add value, is to not just talk about something, but talk about where you were, what shifted, and where you are now. And of course, in pickleball, it's good to demonstrate that with the angle of shots and court positioning and all of those things. But the way that you can actually make it different is to bring in a bit of your personality. If you're quirky, you could, have a bit of fun. You could, always start the video with saying something different, which gives you your unique vibe. In my videos, especially on Instagram and stuff, you'll see this green theme or the yellow theme with my hats, right? Or my headbands, right? So there's always different unique things that you can do to give value in a certain way. Now, when I write articles for magazines, and of course you can kind of bring this same strategy into video, what I've noticed, when I write articles for entrepreneur.com, is what works best is vulnerability, honestly, and then processes, right? Systems. And so what I also want you to think about is, what can you turn into a process? Okay, like a step by step, right? So in this video, for example, I'm giving a number of tips, but that can also be turned into a framework, right? So those are different ways to add value. The next one is, and this I think is going to be more for those of you who have got started but want to get to the next level, is investing in speaker training. I did this. I invested tens of thousands over the years. You don't need to invest tens of thousands. You can go to local groups, but investing in speaker training with a coach to get feedback. One of the things I do with my clients is they send me videos, and then I give them feedback on what they should say to make it better. And then it's that feedback that gets them to post it. Because often we're in our mind going, is it good enough? And I give that feedback. Now, if you're going in person to events, there's local chapters, speaking groups, and the benefit of that is that you're forced to get in front of a room. And of course, public speaking is a big fear for a lot of people. But the big thing that I tell people when I've actually coached them to be on stage is that you cannot argue with your journey. A lot of people get fear because they're like, are people going to agree with me, or they're going to disagree with me? But you can't argue with the journey that you've been on. And so the best thing to talk about to add value is the improvements that you've made. Now, of course, people may have opinions on that, but it's difficult to argue with results, right? So the best place to start when you're adding value is actually to talk about the transformation that you've been through and the shifts that you've made, or the aha moments. For example, maybe I've meditated, and in that meditation I had a realization, and then suddenly I took an action and I changed the behavior. Well, I can talk about that journey of what happened in the meditation, then the insight that came in the meditation, and then what I did differently to then, for example, not have a bad habit of, going to sleep too late, right? I'll give you another example, right? Not having your phone in the bedroom. Here's a quick tip, right? I'm going to add some value. So if you want to be more productive, a simple thing to do is not have your phone in the bedroom. I noticed what your excuse is, or I need it as my alarm. Well, actually, you can use a Whoop or an Apple Watch, or you can get a regular alarm, put it outside of the bedroom. What's going to happen is you're going to have a deeper REM sleep, and you'll be more productive because our mind is super active in bed. Now, of course, it's got nothing to do with pickleball directly, but it could have an impact. But I'm giving you an example of how to add value. I gave a tip, and how do I make that better? I can make it better by telling a story, right? So instead of just going into the tip about, going to bed without the phone in your bedroom, I could start off by telling a story and say, there was one evening, and I was just in this consistent habit of just not being able to get to sleep all the time, and it was going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then suddenly my partner said to me, hey, can you get your phone out of the bedroom? And they were being a bit aggressive. And then suddenly I realized what would happen if, now this is a fictional story, but you get the idea that a story of what happened leading into the tip is a good framework for you to add value. So here's an exercise for you. On those three columns of that transformation, which is what happened before, what shifted, and where you are now, also you can add a fourth column, which actually goes at the start, which is the story. What is the story that led into the transformation? Okay. So I've touched on being honest, not holding back value, 25% energy, how to add value, speaker training. Here's the next one, which is being aware of your emotions. Video content often comes from an emotional shift. You're on a high, you're excited by something, you had a realization, you're on a low, you're feeling down, and then there's a shift. So your emotional intelligence of what you get excited about is a key opening. I call it the window of opportunity for you to create content. Okay, so always notice about what's happening with your emotions. The next one, which I've already actually gone over, which is having fun, okay, and having fun with stories. So anything that happens, this is actually the great thing about pickleball, is that there's so much that happens on the pickleball court. And so now what I want you to start to notice is after you play, okay, just have a notebook of like what happened during the game that was funny, that was notable, that was maybe a tip that someone gave you, and your notes can be a great way. Okay, those notes can be a great avenue for you to go out and then produce a video. I'll also give you another tip, which is the gap between the idea and the execution is key, because often what happens is that we get these ideas for content, but then we don't follow through and it never happens. So me with today's video as an example, I had the idea because I'm doing a video challenge essentially for the mastermind. So I'm doing this video challenge, and then I was like, okay, and I scrolled through all my YouTube videos and it's like, oh, I've not done a video on actually doing video. So I wanted to do a video to add value to the mastermind members, but also just add a ton of value to the YouTube channel. So I had the idea at lunchtime. I sat after lunch, wrote my list and my tips, and then I came and recorded the video in the same day. So what I do is to really try and shorten the gap between the idea and the execution, because otherwise we just go into procrastination, we overthink it, and it doesn't get done, okay? All right, the next one, which is consistency. Try and be as consistent as you can, and really you should not have a shortage of ideas. In fact, I'm pretty sure that if you're here watching my YouTube channel and you're playing pickleball, right? And you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna have ideas. You're gonna tap into that creativity. It's not that you don't have the ideas, it's that you don't take the ideas and you don't execute on them because there's some kind of fear, or it needs to be perfect. You have to have everything lined up, and just understand that that's normal. But the way that you're going to improve the most is by imperfect action. Take action, improve on it, get feedback. And I went through that process early with this channel. I ramped up my videos, and then I started to get some bigger winners, and then I started to get the messages, and it took a bit of time. But the more videos and the more content you do, the better you are in actually the production and you being consistent. And the next one, which is, and I really want to touch on this and I kind of want to wrap up actually with 17 minutes. I want to keep this at under 20 minutes, which is understanding the role of fear, why it's there, and how to overcome it. Fear is false evidence appearing real. It's an energy, okay? It's an energy that stops us from taking action. Why is it there? Well, things in the past essentially happen and they don't feel good. It could be bullying, in my case, it could be any number of events. And so what happens is we go to take an action, but then this self-sabotage comes up, which is this fear, and it basically is this inner voice that says, don't bother, it won't be worth it. There's a great book, by the way, called Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield, and it talks about resistance, and fear is part of that journey with resistance. And so we have to recognize and we have to become hyper aware of the fear that we have. For a lot of people, it's unconscious, they're not aware of it. But when you become, and for example, I have this conversation with people, they then become aware of the fear that comes up, and then you can notice that fear, and then you can retrain your brain to focus on a positive outcome. Because here's one of the things that happens. If you have a lot of fear and you procrastinate and you don't take action and you self-sabotage, typically it's because you're going mentally into the worst case scenario. So you're saying, oh, it's not going to work out, no one's going to like it, and you will manifest no results because you literally don't take action because of it. So when next time you get an idea, okay, that idea comes in, what you want to do is you want to start focusing on the people that you're serving. So for example, if I had a lot of fear about doing this video, what I'd do is I'd focus on you behind the camera. It's difficult when there's a camera, but I really need to look into the camera and talk to you and see you not as a camera lens, but as a person. And that's another pro tip that I give people when I'm doing the coaching with them in person, which is even now when I'm actually just doing it now and I'm looking in the camera, and this is kind of just real time, but now I'm looking into the lens just because I've said it, and now I'm looking in, and I'm really trying to feel the person behind the camera as a person that's trying to grow their business, that desperately wants to put themselves out on there with video, but has that fear. And I want to just speak to you and connect with you to tell you that you're good enough, to tell you that people will enjoy it. There's always going to be people with different opinions, but you don't want to be worried about those opinions stopping you. You want to be focused on the people that are going to see it and say thank you, because it was you that had the courage to put out the content, to add the value because you cared. And that's who you need to focus on. You don't want to be focused on these essentially fictional characters that you have created in your head, because it's those characters in your own head that are stopping you from taking the action. And what I can tell you is that when you start to do the videos, and you are going to be judgmental about it, you are going to overthink it, you probably are going to create some things and delete them. But when you get into your stride, and also when you start to get the affirmations from people saying, oh, that was really good, right? It's going to give you the confidence to do more. And suddenly you will go from, just like that previous client, going from, I don't want to do this, I can't be bothered, it's not worth it, to the breakthrough of the messages coming to you saying, I've been watching your videos. Yeah, you've been watching my videos? You've been watching multiple videos? You've been binging on my videos? Yeah. Which one did you like? Oh, I really enjoyed that one because it taught me this, and I learned this, and I did this. It's not, for me, it's not just about what people are learning. It's about what they're doing from the videos and the content. I'm just going to be really honest with my channel, right? Like, one of the things I would love more is more engagement, more comments from my subscribers, because I think that people think that that's not important, but I actually read them, and I want to engage because I want to know how people are doing and what they're doing with the information, right? We all want more subscribers. We all want more views, right? But deep down, me also, like, I desire that connection. I want to know that the videos that I'm producing, people are enjoying. Right. And this is going back to my first tip, which is just being honest and being in the moment with a video, not being scripted, and just sharing your truth and sharing who you are. I think goes a long way, and something that I'm going to do more of this coming year. Let me know in the comments, please, which one of these tips you think is going to support you the most, and also what is your commitment to producing more video. Who are you going to be serving with that video? What are some of the challenges that you're having? Maybe you've got a product right now, but you're like, how do I put the content together that's valuable rather than just promoting? Because I understand that that's a big challenge. There's a lot of pickleball businesses out there, and they're selling products, but they don't understand how to turn content into something that's not heavily just promoting, say, the paddle or the bag or the product. And maybe that's another video I can produce for you. Anyway, I've gone a bit over. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please hit that button. I will see you in another video. Take care.